Have you ever thought about someone who doesn't just participate in a field, but really shapes it from every single angle?
Yeah, like they're not just playing the game, they're building the stadium, too.
Exactly. The architect, the scout, maybe even the star player. Well, today we're diving deep into a life like that, a name that's just, well, synonymous with science fiction. Frederik Pohl.
Fred Pohl, the giant.
Our mission here is to unpack this truly remarkable journey. I mean, our sources say he did almost everything in the world of science fiction. Writer, yes, but also an agent and a hugely influential editor for magazines and books. And this whole deep dive, it's built on some really fascinating excerpts from the Probabilities Archive, Frederik Pohl. It actually includes parts of a 1978 interview with him.
Oh, wow. From KPFA's Probabilities radio show.
That's the one, a really respected platform back then, so we get his voice, his perspective from that era.
That's fantastic. And
Yeah.
what's so illuminating, is that Pohl's story isn't just about him. It's like a mirror reflecting the evolution of sci-fi itself. Well, because he did so many different things, he could influence the genre from all these different points. He was writing, sure, but also picking other writers, shaping the look and feel of magazines, actively molding it, not just watching. He often had a pretty clear idea of where science fiction could go or maybe should go next.
Okay, let's unpack this. It all starts in Brooklyn. Pohl began writing really young, but it gets interesting pretty quickly, doesn't it? His involvement with this group, the Futurians.
Right, the Futurians.
And they weren't just some casual writing group, were they? Politically charged, our sources say. Tell us about them.
Yeah, politically charged is putting it mildly sometimes.
Yeah.
They were this highly intellectual and definitely leftist group of SF writers back in the late 30s.
A tumultuous time.
Absolutely. And they weren't just writing stories. They were arguing, debating, sometimes really clashing over ideas about the genre, about society, about everything. Imagine these young, passionate people, often from working-class backgrounds, pouring all this energy into stories and getting paid pennies a word for it in the pulps.
Pennies a word. It's hard to imagine.
It really highlights the passion, but also the struggle back then. It was often a labor of love, maybe necessity too. But the group had serious talent.
Right.
The source does mention some, like John Michel, who maybe didn't quite live up to their early promise. Still, the energy of that group, it definitely shaped Pohl.
And what strikes me about Pohl, even back then, is his pragmatism, his hustle, really.
Yeah, he wasn't just waiting around.
Not at all. Faced with those pennies per word, he became a literary agent in 1937, just making a living. And then, only 2 years later, 1939, boom, he's editing a pulp magazine himself.
Jumped right in.
And get this detail? He'd often buy his own stories or collaborations under pseudonyms for his own magazine.
Yeah. Talk about working every angle.
What does that tell us about the early days and about Pohl?
Well, it says a lot. I mean, today that might raise eyebrows, right? But back then, in that sort of chaotic pulp world, the lines were blurry. It was less about strict ethics, maybe, and more about survival and just getting good stories out there however you could.
By any means necessary.
Pretty much. And because Pohl did all that writing, agenting, editing so early on, he got this incredible, 360-degree view of how the whole system worked.
He knew what writers needed, what editors wanted.
Exactly, and what readers might buy. It wasn't just being practical. It showed that adaptability that really defined his whole career.
Okay, so this early pragmatism, it wasn't just about surviving the pulp era. It really set the stage for his next big impact, didn't it? Becoming this powerful editor.
A major shift.
He moved from that, gritty pulp scene to guiding some really respected magazines. Late 1960s, he takes over Galaxy magazine and its sister publication, Worlds of If. That must have been huge.
Oh, absolutely pivotal for him and for the genre.
How did his vision, especially at Galaxy, change things?
Well, Galaxy already had a reputation, thanks to Horace Gold, its first editor. Gold was the one who started pushing for a more literary, maybe sophisticated style in SF.
Okay.
When Pohl took over, he didn't just keep that going. He, doubled down on it. He actively sought out stories that dug into character, into social commentary, psychological depth.
Moving beyond just rockets and ray guns.
Precisely. He wanted complex stuff, often with a kind of cynical or ironic edge that really reflected the times, the anxieties of the mid-century.
So he was encouraging writers to tackle bigger themes.
Yeah. Questioning society, thinking about the real human impact of technology, exploring the human condition, not just adventures in space. It really pushed the boundaries of what science fiction could even be.
He was basically saying, bring me your challenging ideas.
Right. Don't hold back. And this raises that question, how much did editors like him, through their choices, their vision, actually shape the genre's potential, pushing it towards, well, literary respectability?
And he didn't stop there. The source mentions his later role, too, right, at Bantam Books?
Yes, in the 1970s, science fiction editor at Bantam, a major mainstream paperback publisher, that brought SF to an even wider audience.
Wow.
A position he actually left just before that 1978 interview we mentioned. So you see the breadth. From pulps to prestigious magazines to mass-market paperbacks, he covered it all.
It's an incredible path. But just when you think, okay, he settled into editing.
He surprises everyone again.
Exactly. Mid-1970s, after decades editing and writing shorter stuff, he just emerges as this major novelist, finally getting huge recognition for his own full-length books.
Yeah, a real breakthrough.
And we're talking big titles. Man Plus in 76, Gateway in 77. These were award winners.
Nebula for Man Plus, Hugo and Nebula for Gateway. Huge.
This wasn't just changing jobs. It felt like a real literary arrival, didn't it?
Totally. And the timing is fascinating. Man Plus, exploring cyborgs for Mars colonization, really thoughtful stuff. Then Gateway, wow. Pushing the envelope on alien artifacts, the psychology of exploration. It was intense.
And terrifying in parts.
Absolutely. His ability to weave these big human questions into compelling stories. After years helping other writers, it was kind of a revelation.
And this creative burst happened right around the time people were looking back at the genre's history.
Exactly. Damon Knight had just published his memoir, The Futurians, giving one perspective on those early days. And then Pohl comes out with his own memoir in 78, The Way the Future Was.
Perfect timing.
It gave him the chance to offer his unique firsthand account. His view from inside the engine room, right as his own fiction was hitting this incredible peak. He got to define his own story as both a chronicler and a creator.
So that 1978 interview for KPFA captures him right at that moment. Celebrated novelist, award winner, memoirist.
At the top of his game, really.
But incredibly, he was far from done. There was so much more still to come after that interview.
Yeah, that's what's truly amazing, the sustained excellence.
His 1979 novel, Gem, it won the National Book Award.
Which is just, wow. Because, as the source notes, that was the only year they had a specific award category for science fiction.
Talk about a unique achievement, a real mark of literary quality.
Absolutely. And it wasn't a fluke.
No, the critical acclaim just kept coming. The sequel to Gateway, Beyond the Blue Event Horizon.
Yep, 1980. Finalist for both the Hugo and Nebula again.
That really cemented his place at the very top, didn't it? Staying relevant like that is rare.
It really is. And this makes you ask, right, how many writers manage that kind of success critically and popularly for so long, over decades?
He kept going. The Gateway series, the Hichi novels, how many were there in total?
7, eventually.
Yeah.
Each one adding more layers to that universe. And that's just one series. After 1979, he wrote, get this, 17 more novels.
17?
Yeah. The last one, The Lies He Led, came out in 2011. He was 92.
Unbelievable.
Plus collections, more collaborations, nonfiction. His output wasn't just huge, it stayed remarkably good. He was winning awards, staying central to the conversation, almost until the very end.
And even then, he was working on a second memoir when he passed away at 93. In September 2013.
That's what the source says. Still working. It apparently remains unpublished.
Wow. That's just incredible dedication, lifelong commitment to the fields he loved. His whole identity seems wrapped up in SF.
Completely.
Okay, let's maybe zoom out a little now. Pohl didn't exist in a bubble, right? He interacted with this whole network of other major figures. Our sources mention quite a few.
Oh yeah, a whole ecosystem.
Like John W. Campbell. You can't talk about SF history without him. Longtime editor of astounding stories, hugely influential.
Campbell looms large, definitely. His influence was, well, immense. He's the guy often credited with discovering Asimov, Heinlein, basically defining the golden age of SF.
His focus was hard SF, right? Plausible science.
Very much so. Engineering, exploration, scientific rigor, that was his brand. But the source also notes his politics. There's that quip from Asimov.
Ah, yes, about him being somewhere to the right of Hitler.
Yeah. Now, we need to be clear for you listening. We're just reporting what's in the source material here, not endorsing that view.
Absolutely, just conveying the historical context.
Right. But it illustrates the, let's say, strong personalities and sometimes clashing ideologies in the early field. Pohl, coming from the Futurians, and with Galaxy's more literary, maybe socially aware focus, he often represented a different path than Campbell.
The counterpoint.
Exactly. And that tension, that difference in vision, arguably helped the genre grow broader, more diverse.
And Campbell wasn't the only other major editor around. The sources paint a picture of a landscape with lots of influential figures Pohl had to navigate or work with.
Definitely. It was a competitive, vibrant scene.
There was Judy Lynn Del Rey, founding Del Rey Books, right?
Yep, a major force in bringing SF and fantasy into mainstream publishing.
And Judith Merrill.
Also key. A writer herself, but maybe best known for her year's best SF stories anthologies, those were incredibly influential in defining what was considered the best of the genre each year. And we already mentioned Horace Gold, the first editor at Galaxy, who sort of laid the groundwork for Pohl there.
Right. And Anthony Boucher and F. Francis McComas.
The first editors of the magazine in fantasy and science fiction, F&SF, another absolute giant in the field, known for its quality and range.
So all these different editors, different magazines, different tastes.
Yeah, this whole collection of people, each with their own vision, their own philosophy, they really sculpted the genre. And it raises an interesting question for you, doesn't it?
Which is?
How much did the combined visions, sometimes agreeing, sometimes clashing of all these editors, and their interactions with writers like Pohl, define what science fiction became for generations of readers?
It wasn't just one person's view.
Not at all. Pohl was reacting to Campbell, building on Gold, getting anthologized by Merrill. It was this constant interplay. That's what created the richness we see in SF today.
So wrapping up this deep dive, Frederik Pohl's career is just staggering in its range.
Oh.
From that scrappy young writer and agent
Barely making ends meet.
to this incredibly influential editor shaping major magazines, and then this late career bloom as a celebrated, award-winning novelist.
For over 70 years. A constant presence, a dynamic force.
An absolute titan. He really did do it all, didn't he? Impacting pretty much every facet of the genre.
What's so striking, I think, is how his own journey, always adapting, always reinventing himself, kind of mirrors the journey of science fiction itself.
From the pulps to literary significance.
Exactly. From those tough pulp origins where you had to wear multiple hats like Pohl did,
Okay.
to becoming this major literary force winning National Book Awards.
So, what does this all mean for you, listening in? I think Pohl's career really shows the power of, well, adaptability, persistence, being willing to try different roles in a creative field.
Don't just stick to one thing, maybe.
Right. He wasn't just a writer or just an editor. He mastered reinvention. He kept finding new ways to contribute to the genre he obviously loved so much.
Yeah.
So maybe the next time you pick up an SF novel, you might think about all those other hands involved. The agents, the editors, the collaborators, the whole ecosystem that helps bring a story to life. People like Pohl playing so many of those roles.
A good reminder.
And maybe this leaves you with a final thought to chew on. In what ways do you think having diverse experiences, maybe even jobs that seem behind the scenes or unrelated, could actually fuel your own creative work? Could it maybe even lead to that kind of late career brilliance we saw with Frederik Pohl?
That's a powerful question. Can stepping outside your main focus actually enrich it in the long run?
Something to think about.